Right.
So for those of you not playing the home game, today we got a blog post message update thing from the creative director of Dune Awakening on Endgame PVE and PvP. I've read the whole thing. Cheeks has read the whole thing, but I want to read the whole thing with you guys and give some commentary back and forth with Cheeks, because there's some interesting stuff in here, and I think if you read between the lines a little bit, there's some other interesting stuff. But I also don't know if this is going to appease the community at large the way they hope it does or
Full
will.
disclosure. Full disclosure. Nothing will appease the community at large.
Right, right, right. All
We can
right,
just
so
start
let's
right there,
right, all
right?
right. So let's start here. It's a message from the creative director on PVE and PvP. It says, "Hello, sleepers. I wanted to write something that acknowledges and addresses the comments around the end game of Dune Awakening, while also providing context for what we were attempting. So let me start by saying this unequivocally. We want PvE players to be able to play the endgame and have access to the content of the endgame. Our goal is not to force PvE players to interact with a PvP system that they may have no interest in." Okay. Interesting,
So it
given
kind of
everything they...
starts all right.
Right,
We're,
but
we're, we're doing
we're
good.
doing good. But given everything that they've said about the game, well, given everything that the community managers said about the game prior to launch, that seems like they've made a bit of a twist
Oh, don't worry. He
in...
course corrects in about 2 paragraphs.
Yeah, right. So here's what it says, right? It says, we still believe in the core concept of the deep desert, an endlessly renewing location that resets every week and creates an activity loop for great rewards. The tension of heading out there, head on a swivel, eyes peeled for foes as you enter the most dangerous part of the most dangerous planet in the universe. Our wish was that players would embrace this loop, forming guilds to work together to overcome the bleakness of the deep desert. But as Stephen King says, wish in one hand, shit in the other, see which one fills up first. One of my hands is overflowing right now, and sadly not with wishes.
There it is. There it is.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, we really want you to embrace the PvP, but you didn't. So
Well,
now we're going to grudgingly fix some shit.
here's where, like, I see their vision of what they were trying to do, and I get it, right? But they didn't do enough, and I said this around launch. They didn't do enough, in my opinion, to keep PvE players happy. They kind of threw us a...
That's because they didn't want to make
here's
a
a
PvE game
little
in the first
tiny
place.
PvE area of the deep desert, but it doesn't have tier 6 rewards.
It ain't got shit in it, right?
Right. Well, now to their credit, let's continue, right? The reality is that players are reporting being cut out of the endgame due to the extremely competitive nature of the deep desert. Starting soon, some
You know,
areas
the
of the deep
broken
desert...
ornithopter meta.
Right. Well, they're fixing that too. We'll get there.
I
Starting
know.
soon, some areas of the deep desert will now be flagged as partial warfare PvE areas, where players will be able to explore testing stations and harvest T6 resources without the threat of conflict that they may not want.
So
Thank
stop
you.
right there.
Look, thank you.
You're right. Stop right there. This is an interesting statement because it can be taken more than one way, and I've seen two takes on this. The
Okay.
general take is, oh, that's going to have resource nodes. Maybe not. It might just be there's going to be T6 resources in the chests.
Right. I was going to say chests or
The
resource
problem
boxes.
is
Yeah.
the problem is in the deep desert, if anyone comes through before you, chests are empty for 45 minutes.
Right. Well, we don't know that for sure. To be fair,
Yes,
we
we
don't know that.
do. We've seen
Well,
it happen.
right. But we're talking about this area of the game. We don't know what they have planned. They haven't specifically stated anything like that yet. So it does say, it continues, right? It's important to note that the top tier of the game is balanced around guilds and groups, so people will still find it grindy if they play solo. Fine, but that's how the game is right now, where you and I are in the game, right?
Right.
Where our group is in the game. That's how things are kind
I
of
was
right now.
grinding aluminum earlier. But my point is, it doesn't tell you, it just says harvest. It doesn't tell you how you can harvest. Now,
Right.
harvest to me, when I read the word harvest, I actually read that as pulling out either my mining tool or
Yep.
whatever
Same. Same.
and harvesting as opposed to just picking up out of the chest. So
Right. I agree.
I can see, however, because I've seen the opinion of that they could just put stuff in chests, which would kind of suck because of the way
Right.
chests work in the
Right.
deep desert, which is if anybody comes through before you and loots it, you're shit out of luck until they respawn, which is
Right.
45 minutes.
Right.
So
So that
hopefully that means what we think it means.
right. Hopefully. Right. So they go on to say lands are at control points, shipwrecks, and the largest spice fields within the region of the deep desert will remain PvP flagged. Okay, fine,
Sure.
whatever. The deepest parts of the deep desert will remain as they currently are: high reward, high risk areas. All right,
Sure.
okay, like whatever. The beauty
Well,
of the
the,
deep
the
desert.
implication there is it's still going to be the absolute best things in the game can only be gotten from the PvP area. That's the implication.
Right.
Whether that's true or not, who knows?
Right. The beauty of the deep desert design with weekly resets and renewals is that we can iterate and experiment with different layouts and setups to really help us tune it. As we make changes, excuse me, we will send out surveys to help us capture your thoughts. Okay. So
Sure.
then they go on to talk about PvP because a lot of people have been complaining about PvP. There's a bunch of
Well,
videos on YouTube right now
yeah.
that show broken
Well,
PvP
ornithopters are
mechanics.
broken. Well, it's not just ornithopters that are broken. Rockets are broken because they're
Respawn
not
times.
doing. Well,
Respawn times
respawn
are
times are
broken.
broken, which they've
Yeah.
already started to fix that.
That's true. They have,
But
to their credit.
rockets are broken in the fact that they are not AOE damaging correctly.
Right. Right.
The only port that's and it's now some people have complained that they can't target parts on an ornithopter, and I'm like,
Right.
I don't have any problem with that.
This is
You're kind of firing a
well,
dumb
right.
fire rocket.
This well,
So
and also this isn't Fallout. Like we don't need to
right,
have a VAT system
right,
for
right.
targeting or whatever.
Um,
Right.
but
So
the AOE splash damage is not working properly, so
right.
only one piece of that ornithopter is taking damage
Yep.
when you get hit with the rocket. So it takes a lot longer to kill an ornithopter than it
Right.
probably should.
Agreed. So they've gone on to say, right, PvP itself has plenty of issues that need to be addressed. We're taking steps in that direction with our first changes to scout ornithopters. As Viljar stated in the AMA, these should be implemented in the game shortly. Scout ornithopters with rocket launchers attached will have their speed maneuverability reduced. So you can't
Yeah.
do the weird flippy barrel roll, yada yada, whatever we've seen people do to dodge things and basically stay alive
Which I
forever.
mean, kind of sucks, but
Right.
because some of that is flight skill, right? And I don't want to see them take that away from guys that are really good pilots.
Right.
But at the same time, something has to be done. I like the next one
Yeah.
that's come. Yeah, I
Rockets
like the
fired
next
from
one.
scout ornithopters will have increased heat generation. Thank God.
Right, so you
Because you
can't
can't
fire as
spam
many before
rockets.
you overheat. Right,
Yeah,
you won't be
yeah,
able
yeah,
to
yeah.
total rocket spam.
Right.
Yeah, this one is the one I like.
Thrusters
Thrusters.
will provide a max speed bonus regardless of wings, ensuring that the thruster equipped scouts will be the fastest vehicles in the game. I like that. Right?
Means if you're just out trying to get stuff, you can get away
You can get
with your
away.
thruster.
Yep. A new T5 infantry rocket launcher will be added to help improve the dynamics of vehicle and ground combat. Now,
That'll be fun.
is that, that,
I don't
that,
know
that
why that
that's
wasn't in
fun?
from the
Right, well,
beginning.
one, why wasn't that in from the beginning? But two, is that going to coincide with the rocket launcher fixes that need to happen? Or are we just going to
Well,
push out another rocket
right.
launcher
Or
without
they're just going to
fixing
push
the
out another
existing
rocket
problems?
launcher.
Right?
I
That's
think the
the
answer might
question there.
be. I think the answer might be a little column A, a little column B at first. I don't. I don't.
Right.
I would like to think that the answer is yes. We're going to fix it, and we're
Right.
going to, you know, push this out, but we're also going to fix it. I
Right.
mean, obviously, rocket damage needs to be fixed.
Yeah. Yeah. The intended dynamic of Deep Desert PvP in Dune Awakening is that, unless you really mess up, you always have the option to retreat in good order with whatever you've managed to claim so far. If you're
Yeah, which
smart
is
and
certainly
vigilant,
not the case
that's not
now.
the
Yeah.
case right now, yeah. If you're smart and vigilant, you never have to fight if you don't want to. If you run, you'll have to call a halt to whatever task you are pursuing, but that should always be a choice. PvP
Sure.
should happen when both parties decide they want to fight over a location. I
All right.
agree with
Okay.
this.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
If this was the way PvP was in the game, it would actually make me want to engage in PvP.
I mean, you're right. I'd certainly be more interested in trying it.
Right.
But as it is right now, it's just go out and get zerged by rockets.
Exactly. Now, also, this art is really cool. Like,
Well, most of the art from the game is really cool. Go through the art book that comes
yeah.
with the deluxe version.
Oh, yeah. It's
Some
really
good stuff in there.
It's really good. All right, so it says, finally, the intended dynamic has always been combined arms. We have infantry and ground vehicles and air vehicles, and they're all supposed to have clear roles, clear strengths, and clear counters. Thopters will always be incredibly important for crossing the desert, but they shouldn't also be the dominant force in actual battles. We're planning to make more changes to the deep desert to accommodate ground battles and reinforce the use of player builds. Good.
Right.
And that's really all I have to say there. Now, let's
Yeah, I
talk
agree.
briefly about the Lance Rad. As a system, it's an activity driver. Understandable, right? It's an engagement
Right.
driver that is
Supposed to
designed to
be
promote
anyway.
conflict between, or it's supposed to be, that is designed to promote conflict between the factions, internal politics between the guilds, while providing goal thresholds for individuals and groups to work towards getting personal rewards. Cool. However, and the Lands Red should be doing that for everyone who wants to participate in the Elder game, be they PvEer or PvPer. The Lands Red should be giving you things to do every day and every week. Yes, it should. It is nothing new
Right.
from a design perspective. We've seen daily and weekly quest systems in games for a long time. Our approach
Right.
was to try to frame this system around the greater politics of the Dune universe by having players engage in activities to earn the votes of the various Lands Red houses. Okay. Let me acknowledge it
Right.
as an activity driver. The activities it asks you to participate in are simplistic. A lot of them are hand-ins and crafting requests. That's because the
Right.
system is in the earliest launchable iteration. So this was, we need Lands Red in the game for launch. We need the minimum viable product we can possibly launch with. Go.
Right. Yeah.
We need the MVP.
And that's never good.
Go. That's never good. No. Well, what it tells me, and what a lot of these changes tell me, and especially given the conversations that we saw during the closed beta and like during the open beta weekend and stuff like that, right? The conversations that we saw were that they didn't have enough PvE content in the end game, and the end game felt a little wonky. What that tells me
Right.
is that they had hoped, like every other company, they could launch the game and then fix the end game.
Well, right.
As
Release
soon,
and
like,
fix.
they could shotgun the end game and
Right.
and fix the end game within like a month or two.
Right.
They
Which just
they
is
were not
no.
counting, right, which never works out for any company. But I don't think they were counting on the reception that this game had and it becoming the fourth highest played game on Steam, breaking
Right.
a bazillion Steam records for concurrent players. I don't think they
Right.
were counting on that, right? I think that they were counting on this being, hey, this is a game for Dune fans and fans of survival games, and they were counting on a smaller player base, etc., etc.
Maybe.
So I think a lot of the things we're seeing right now are consequences of them thinking small, right?
Right.
It says the Lands Red is an umbrella for all endgame activities.
Stream
What-
frozen on your end? Just mine.
It's just yours. Let me see. What form a bazillion. Huh. Oh yeah.
Pretty sure that's
A
you, Boo.
bazillion. There we go. It's back. It's back. I had an internet blip. It says the Lands Red is an umbrella for all endgame activities. What form do these endgame activities take? More dungeons with bosses that drop endgame loot. That sounds fucking awesome. More contracts that require specific tasks to be undertaken. That sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah.
More specialized delivery tasks that include components that cannot be stockpiled. That sounds fucking awesome. If we ever add raids to the game, there'll be a task of the Lands Red to complete those raids. It is a framework that holds the endgame activities in place. All of that sounds amazing. I would gladly take
Right.
raids in this game. I would love
Sure.
more. I would love more
Who
of those
wouldn't?
dungeons, like the assassination contracts, right? I would love a multiplayer style dungeon assassination contract thing, right?
Right.
Where you and I and Mike and Jeff could jump
Right.
into a dungeon and go and basically think of like
Sure.
the testing station, right?
Yeah.
Think like the testing. We jump in there, we go kill everything in there, get a shit ton of great loot, and then kill an amazing boss at the end and get one of the shiny glowy chests that has a cool end game loot in it. That'd be really fucking
Right.
awesome. Like that kind of thing would be really really cool to see. I hope that they do that.
Right.
So then it ends. We are addressing some key flaws in the Lands Rad design. The inability to hand in items after a square is completed, and the rapidity at which some squares are turned in. Stockpiling is currently rewarded, but that is not our intention for this system, and we'll make some changes to address it as best we can. Lands Rad rewards are supposed to reflect the endgame tiers of progression. This includes the vendors, which can be unlocked for an entire faction through participation. This is the intention, but once again, let me acknowledge this isn't exactly in the right place. The lands will be updated to provide micro rewards for solo and small group players. That's good. That's great.
That's good, yeah.
Because right now, if you don't have a guild that is larger that does these events, it kind of seems
Right,
like you've
no
been
point.
left in the dust.
Yep.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and apologies for the confusion. Once a live game launches, it becomes a collaborative effort between the developers and the players to make it something amazing. We appreciate your feedback on what we hope is the beginning of a long journey together. Bear with us. Our intention is to be clear and open in our communications to make Dune Awakening a game that everybody can enjoy. I hope this helps. Joel.
Yeah.
Overall, this says a lot of things that the community wanted to hear.
Right.
From what I can tell, and the response from what I saw like on Reddit seemed pretty positive. I haven't checked it since this morning, to be fair, but from what I saw this morning, the reception seemed pretty positive. So I hope that we are in a good place with this, and I hope that the game continues to succeed despite these end game stumbling blocks. We've seen a lot of games come out and have a solid beginning, middle, and kind of end, and then they hit the end game and it all falls apart. So I'm hoping that they can fix...
The problem is you can't release... there's no possible way you can release enough content at start. You just can't.
Right.
It doesn't matter how much you can release EverQuest like as it is right now.
Yeah.
With all 30 expansions.
Yeah.
And within like a week, somebody would be bitching that there's not enough content. So the point here, what I'm trying to say is the point now though is how fast can they turn out decent content? How fast can they start turning some of this stuff out that's actually going to be good? And so that'll be the real trick here is can they get this done in a timely fashion, right?
Right.
To where, because as long as it keeps coming out in a fairly timely fashion, you're always going to have people that bitch no matter what. Not enough content. Well, slow down, brother. You know, don't
Right.
spend 40 hours a day playing the game. Says the guy that's
Exactly.
got 130 hours.
What
What do I know? I don't know nothing.
do you know?
So yeah, but it's just one of those things that yeah, we'll see, right?
Yeah, exactly. We'll see.
It's Funcom, but so far they've been kind of out of their own Funcom mold, so which
Right.
is good to see.
It's really yeah,
Um,
I would say that's really good to see happening. I was
it's
again.
kind of like when First Descendant hit, and those devs were actually responsive. Everybody's like, wait, what?
Yeah, wait. What? You're actually
Because
listening?
of
What? Well, yeah,
because
because
of
of
was that Nexon?
yeah, it was next
Can't
on.
remember.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it's Nexon, and yeah, they don't listen to shit.
exactly.
So yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully, I mean, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. So,
Right? Yeah, Matt. No, I'm not either. I'm in this one for a while, so
you
we'll
know,
see. We'll see what happens.